Yeah. Okay.
What?
How do you save the environment?
Wait,
Actually, I want to know how do you?
What do you do to save the environment?
Okay, but actually, how do you improve the environment? Because I just want to know how I can improve it. So like, I could just like kind of like go off of what you're doing.
All right. So I don't think you need to write this, but I would like you guys to ponder it with me for a second. So if x times y equals 0, then we know something. Can somebody raise their hand and tell me what we might know? Yeah, Joanna?
That they both equal 0.
One of them has to be 0. So let's write that. Well, I'm going to write it. Either x equals 0 or y equals 0. The only way you could ever multiply two things and get 0 is if one of those things is 0. You know what? I lied. Let's write this.
No, you know what's crazy? I wrote it.
Because this is actually called something that I'm going to say quite frequently, and I want you guys to know what it is. This is called the zero product property. So write that down real quick, and I'll give you a second. So what I'm going to show you guys today is we're going to, remember yesterday? Okay, we get some opportunity, some points here. Yesterday, what did we do yesterday? Someone raise their hand.
Here, this isn't fair.
We did that.
Come on, today. We found the roots of a quadratic in standard form. Now, another bonus point. How did we find the roots in standard form yesterday? Quadratic formula. That's right. So, what I'm about ready to share with you guys is another way to find the roots when you're in standard form. And that way is called factoring. Okay, which we've already learned this year.
Oh, that's fancy.
Here we go. Ready? Example 1.
And that.
That's perfect.
No, we don't even have 20 minutes. He's lying. He doesn't know how to count.
We have 21.
No,
No, we have 10.
we have 5.
We have 3 minutes.
Yes.
I honestly forgot to
Hey, but he's not worried. We're saying
That's on you guys.
Okay, here's the first thing. As I would like you guys to factor this. I'm going to give you a second to try it out. If you forgot what that means we're using the box. And I want you guys to fill in these blanks for me, okay? So go ahead.
Every other class,
So, Hannah. Hey guys, please be quiet. All right, so Adrian Hernandez, what do I do first?
I didn't use that method. I used it.
Okay. John, what do we do first?
2x squared on the top left.
That's right. Adrian Canizales, what goes here?
20,
Negative 20. Okay. Chris, what's next?
you find out what like 2x squared.
Good. So what makes 2x squared?
2x and x.
Okay, so we only have one option there. It's got to be 2x and x. The 20 is a little bit tricky. Eric, what did you pick for 20? Okay. How's about Augustine? What did you pick for 20? 4 and 5. Where did you put 4 here or 5 here? Okay. It's a good pick. We don't only get that lucky. If you pick 10 and 2, you would find it doesn't work. But I think this is actually going to work. So here we go. What goes here, you guys?
Yeah, we need a negative.
I know. I like to do that at the end. What goes here? Okay, so how do we know if we're right? They have to make the middle. How would 8 and 5 make negative 3?
They make 15.
The 4 must be negative.
If the 4 was negative, that would make this a negative, which would make negative 3 when you combine. So here's the factorization. Now that's old, and I just want to give you guys an opportunity to review that because we're using factoring today to find roots, okay? Now let's actually find the roots. You ready? What's the first thing you do if you want to find roots? Replace y with 0. Replace y with 0. Okay? Now, zero product property. Remember, we just talked about that at the beginning of class today. If you have something times something and it makes 0, then what do we know? One of those has to be 0, right? So, that means that either 2x plus 5 equals 0 or
We have to subtract.
x minus 4 equals 0. And so we could solve both of those now. So that's the strategy. Step 1 is to factor. I'm not done yet, but step 1 is to factor. And then step 2 is to use the zero product property. Okay, so let's solve this one. Minus 5 divided by 2. How about this one? What would I do?
Plus 4 divided by 2.
It doesn't have a 2 on it. So there's your 2 answers. So the process is factor it and then set each parenthesis set equal to 0 and solve. That's another way that you can find the roots. Okay? You guys got that, or should I leave it up there a little longer?
Question?
Wait, why is
Question? Why is that a 2?
Yeah, why left
that?
two?
Oh, because I made a boo-boo. That's a 4. Sorry. Let's rewrite it. Okay, looks like everybody's got that down. Let's proceed on. I want you guys to try one. Where's my notes? I'm going to give you guys 2 problems to try.
Whoa, you said only one.
Yeah, you said on one. Whoa.
I know, come on.
Some
Yeah.
people can handle it, but if you're a weenie like Kendall, you don't have
This was
to.
not the deal.
Okay.
Appreciate.
For number 2, I'm going to give you a hint. Remember the shortcut. All right. But if you can't handle number 2 right now, that's okay. Focus on 1. If you get a chance, try number 2. But remember, now you're not just factoring. After you factor, I want you to go through and actually solve for x using the zero product property. Okay? Henry, you're not participating again. All right, so I'll work out these solutions. Let's see. That would be negative, so positive, so you end up with 3x minus 1 times x plus 2 for the first one. We set it equal to 0. And then we set both of these factors here equal to 0, and we solve each one. For the first one, if we minus the 2, we end up with x equals 2. For the second one, we add 1 first, and then we divide by 3, and we end up with x equals a third. For number 2, you probably could do the shortcut, but I mean the box method, but it would be confusing. We learned a shortcut for this. This is the difference of squares. And for that one, you just take the square root of the first, which is x, and then you take the square root of the second number, which is 5. You make one a plus, you make one a minus, and you're done. So for this one, you set that one equal to 0. You set this one equal to 0. And you get x equals negative 5. And you get x equals positive 5. Another and easier way, honestly, to solve this one is basically you could have just set this equal to 0 at the beginning, add 25 on both sides, and take the square root, which is another method that we learned, but that one only applies sometimes. And you also have to remember when you do that method to not forget your plus and minus. Okay? But either way, you get that answer. So that's the end of it.